Forget everything you think you know about what angels look like. We have been conditioned by centuries of European art to imagine tall, handsome men in white robes with soft bird-like wings. But when the Bible pulls back the curtain on the spiritual realm, the reality isn't beautiful, it is terrifying. In fact, every time a celestial being appears to a human in the scriptures, their very first words are almost always, "Do not be afraid." Why? Because if you saw a creature of fire, eyes, and thunder standing in your living room, your heart would fail you. The Holy Bible reveals not just one kind of angel, but 9 distinct levels. A vast, organized celestial army with specialized roles ranging from personal protection to the governance of entire empires. At the level closest to us are the angels. These are the ministering spirits mentioned in Hebrews. They are the guardians, the messengers, and the invisible shields. The Bible is clear. You have an angel assigned exclusively to you. We see them in action throughout history, closing the mouths of lions for Daniel, breaking the iron chains of Peter's prison, and even comforting Jesus in the depths of Gethsemane. But here is the warning. These are soldiers, not pets. They follow the orders of the throne, not the whims of humans. We are commanded never to worship them, for they are our fellow servants. Just above them stand the archangels, the chief commanders. While tradition names many, the Bible only explicitly gives the title to one, Michael. He is the supreme warrior of the heavenly guard, the one who stands at the front lines of the cosmic war against the dragon. Then there is Gabriel, the messenger of high-stakes operations, who carries words so powerful, they change the course of human history. These beings don't appear for the mundane. They strike only when the fate of humanity is on the line. But as powerful as they are, there is a level of angel that doesn't just watch over people. It watches over nations. Some are faithful, and some have fallen into a darkness that influences the very world we see in the news today. Some truths are only revealed to those who dare to look at the fire, and that moment of realization is where faith becomes power. This is the journey of power of faith. Climbing higher in the celestial hierarchy, we enter a realm that explains much of the chaos and glory we see throughout human history, the level of the principalities. Here, the scale stops being personal and becomes global. While angels and archangels work with individuals or specific missions, the principalities are the spiritual rulers assigned to entire regions, nations, and empires. The book of Daniel in chapter 10 gives us one of the most astonishing revelations in all of Scripture. Daniel prayed for 21 days without receiving an answer until a heavenly messenger finally reached him with a terrifying explanation. It was not God's silence that delayed the response, but a brutal war in the heavens. The messenger explained that the prince of the kingdom of Persia had opposed him, blocking his path until Michael, one of the chief princes, intervened so the message could pass through. This reveals something that should make us tremble. There are angels assigned to nations, and not all of them are good. Fallen principalities exist, exerting a dark influence over cultures, inspiring destructive ideologies, sowing confusion, and fueling violence in specific regions. This explains why certain countries seem resistant to the gospel for centuries, while others experience sudden spiritual awakenings. Not everything depends on politics or economics. There is an invisible war being fought for the soul of every nation. Image of a modern city with shadows of gigantic winged beings battling in the clouds. Just above the principalities, we find the powers or authorities. If the principalities govern nations, the powers govern the order of the universe itself. They are the guardians of the balance between the spiritual and material worlds. Their primary role is to ensure that spiritual chaos does not invade physical reality unchecked. They are the executors of divine justice in the invisible realm, acting as a barrier that prevents darkness from completely consuming creation. The Bible tells us in Colossians that all these hierarchies were created by Christ and for Christ, meaning that even though some rebelled, all remain ultimately under His sovereign authority. But what are these beings really like? This is where we must break away from Renaissance art. The idea of delicate blonde angels did not come from the visions of the prophets, but from the desire of European artists to reflect the ideal beauty of their time. In the Bible, the appearance of a power or a principality is not a cause for aesthetic admiration, but for absolute terror. The Roman guards at Jesus' tomb, at the presence of a single angel, trembled and became like dead men. They were not frightened by seeing a handsome man. They collapsed before the presence of a being of fire, authority, and glory that defied all human logic. We are talking about creatures whose mere presence could bend the will of an army. And this is only the beginning, because above the warriors and rulers exist the angels who uphold the very throne of God. As we ascend higher into the celestial hierarchy, we move away from the battlefields of nations and into the very machinery of heaven's administration. Here, we encounter the virtues. These angels are not warriors in the traditional sense, nor are they messengers. Instead, they are the channels of pure supernatural energy. In theological tradition, the virtues are known as the angels of miracles. They are the ones responsible for the signs and wonders that break the laws of physics on earth. When a terminal illness vanishes without medical explanation, or when a heart finds the supernatural strength to forgive an unforgivable act, it is often a virtue channeling the raw power of God into our reality. They do not seek recognition. They are like beams of living light, pouring out the grace of the Creator to those who are at the end of their strength. Image, radiant, translucent beings with outstretched hands, pouring golden light onto a dark, stormy earth. Stormy. Just above the virtues are the dominions, or dominations. If the angels we've discussed so far are the soldiers and captains, the dominions are the high-level ministers of the divine state. They are rarely seen by humans because their work is internal to the celestial realm. They are the regulators of the angelic duties. It is their task to ensure that the lower ranks of angels, the principalities, powers, and virtues, are carrying out their missions with perfect precision. They receive the direct will of the throne and distribute it as commands throughout the heavens. They represent the perfect balance of authority and service, ensuring that the entire spiritual order remains harmonious. In ancient art, they are often depicted with scepters or orbs, symbols that their authority is not their own, but a delegated trust from the King of Kings. But why is this organization so complex? Because the God we serve is a God of order, not of chaos. Every miracle you witness and every protection you feel is the result of a meticulously organized divine operation. But even these high-level administrators must bow before the next level, a level so strange and so advanced that it defies the very laws of geometry. We are about to enter the realm of the thrones, the living structures that support the weight of the Almighty. These are not entities you would find in a painting. These are visions that would leave you breathless and trembling. We are moving from the administration of heaven to the very presence of the King. We have now reached a level where human language begins to fail and the imagery of the Renaissance is utterly shattered. We are entering the realm of the thrones, also known in the ancient Hebrew tradition as the Ophanim, or the wheels. When the prophet Ezekiel looked into the heavens, he didn't see humanoids with halos. He saw a vision that sounds more like a cosmic machine than a person. He saw wheels within wheels, spinning in every direction, and the rims of these wheels were completely covered in eyes. Image: a complex golden interlocking wheel structure covered in hundreds of realistic human eyes, glowing with a divine amber light. These are the living chariots of God. They are conscious, intelligent structures that represent the all-seeing judgment and the absolute mobility of the Creator. They move wherever the Spirit goes, without turning, existing in a state of constant awareness. They are the base upon which the glory of God rests, symbolizing that God is never static. He is a consuming fire that moves through time and space. The thrones represent the perfect justice of the King. Their eyes see every hidden thought and every secret deed. To look upon an Ophanim is to realize that nothing is hidden from the gaze of heaven. But just above the wheels stand the most famous and most misunderstood beings in the Bible, the Cherubim. Forget the images of chubby, winged babies. In the scriptures, a cherub is a terrifying sentinel of the sacred. The first time we meet them, they are standing at the gates of a lost Eden, wielding a flaming sword that turns every way to prevent fallen humanity from touching the tree of life. They are the elite guards of God's holiness. Image: a massive being with 4 wings and 4 faces, lion, ox, eagle, and man, standing amidst a whirlwind of fire. As described in the visions of Ezekiel and the design of the Ark of the Covenant, these beings are supernatural masterpieces. They possess 4 faces: the face of a man, a lion, an ox, and an eagle, representing the totality of God's creation and His sovereignty over all life. They have 4 wings, and like the thrones, they are covered in eyes. Their bodies shine like burnished bronze, and they move with the speed of lightning. Their entire existence is dedicated to one thing: guarding the mercy seat, the place where the presence of God manifests. They do not sing soft lullabies. They vibrate with the roar of thunder. They are the witnesses of the mysteries of God. And when the lower angels need to understand the will of the Father, they look to the cherubim. But even these majestic guardians must veil their faces before the final level. We are at the pinnacle, the burning ones. We have reached the peak of the celestial mountain, the absolute pinnacle of the 9 levels. Here there are no missions to earth, no battles with demons, and no administration of nations. Here there is only the throne and the fire. These are the Seraphim. Their name comes from the Hebrew root seraph, which literally means to burn or to consume with fire. They are the burning ones. They do not just stand near God, they are so close to the source of divine glory that they exist in a state of perpetual holy combustion. The prophet Isaiah is the only person in the Bible who was granted a direct vision of these beings. He saw them standing above the throne of the Almighty, each with 6 wings. With 2 wings they covered their faces, because even as the highest ranked beings in existence, they cannot look directly upon the full unshielded glory of God. With 2 they covered their feet in an act of ultimate humility, and with 2 they flew, remaining in constant vibrating motion. They do not whisper. They cry out to one another in a voice that makes the very foundations of the temple shake. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. Image: a majestic 6-winged being of pure golden white fire, its face hidden behind its wings, radiating heat waves and blinding light. When Isaiah saw this, he didn't feel inspired, he felt destroyed. He cried out, "Woe is me, I am lost," because in the presence of such absolute purity, he realized the depth of his own sin. But notice the mercy of the seraph. One of them flew to the altar, took a burning coal with tongues, and touched Isaiah's lips. The fire of the seraphim doesn't destroy, it purifies. It burns away the guilt and prepares the soul for the presence of the king. This is the true nature of the angelic realm. It is not a collection of porcelain figures, but a hierarchy of power, order, and intense burning love. From the guardian angel at your side to the seraphim at the throne, they all serve one purpose: to reflect the glory of the Creator. And there is a theory that the greatest tragedy in heaven was when a high-ranking cherub, perhaps the most beautiful of them all, decided he wanted the throne for himself. But that is a story for another time. The fire is still burning and the invitation to the throne is still open. This is the majesty of the heavens. This is power of faith.